Yo, how are you doing? This is Kim, Reads Urantia. I hope everything's good today for you. We've got Light the Flame by Andrew Harvey, April 15th. Get your taxes in. I did mine. I'm sure all of you are cool. My son is working on his still. Taxes, quite a, for me, the as long as we're on taxes, the process of getting the taxes done is worse than actually spend the money. I don't want to have to pay a service so that I can pay money. I think they should just bill me, or they should just take, um I'll just, estimate something and it's in good faith, and that's what I think. But it doesn't work like that. We have to go through all this rigmarole here to figure out what we owe, and that's what pisses me off is the rigmarole. um they should make that easy, but of course then people wouldn't be making all this money off of the rigmarole, and I just think they could make it so much easier. And I don't trust accountants or people with suits and bankers and stuff like that. I don't. I'm going political in a direction that I don't need to go here. Okay, all right. Well, pay your taxes or don't pay them. I don't care. I don't know. I don't know about all that stuff. Anyway, God loves us. Here we are. This quote is by Herman Hesse, who was, of course, the wonderful author of Steppenwolf and Siddhartha. Um, um, I tried to get through the glass bead game. I couldn't get through that one, but Siddhartha and Steppenwolf I would both recommend to people who are searching for their inner truth, their own nature, and authenticity. Right. Okay. Anyway, he died in the 60s, I think, 1960s something. Anyway, be with me, Lord, as I wander alone under your stars, with only my longing for you as my companion. That's beautiful. I wander alone. In this way, we're not meant to be alone, but with regards to our spiritual search, we each of us are. When we quest for God, we find that alone. We search together, but when we find it, it's an individual discovery. And I can't explain, I can be with you when we're searching for God, but really you can't discover what I've discovered because you're not me. It's for me. My relationship with God is mine alone. So that can be kind of tricky realization when we're trying to develop religious authority. Doesn't always jive with that. They want to sell us their interpretation of God, but I can't sell you my interpretation or my relationship with God. You have to find your own. I'm just organizing things on my desk here because I don't want things to fall apart. This isn't really a desk. It's kind of a mess. Anyway, okay, all right. Okay, so I'm going to read now the Urantia book. Okay, the Urantia book. Okay, part 10 of the foreword. This is nice and short and sweet. God the Absolute. Okay, so this is God the Absolute. And we talked about yesterday that this is actually an evolving, which is hard to imagine the Absolute evolving. Okay, that's hard to even go for. But here, this is what they said. I'm just going to go back a little bit. God the Supreme and God the Ultimate that they're associated with the three total deities of paradise, the universal Father, the eternal Son, and the infinite Spirit are in the eternal future to be personality complemented by the experiential actualization of associate evolutionary deities, the supreme, the ultimate, and possibly the God absolute, God the absolute. So this is a projected thing here. So okay. Well, anyway, I'm just going to read it. I spend too much time talking about stuff. Just have to read it. Okay, God the Absolute. There are many features of the eternal reality of the deity absolute which cannot be fully explained to the time-space finite mind. Remember, the deity absolute is part of that yin-yang, right? The deity absolute is the ultimate, the yang, and the unqualified absolute is the yin, with the universal absolute in between there. So God the absolute, we're conjecturing, is that whole engine of function, right? Of manufacturing reality. Okay, that's what I kind of think of that as. Okay, there are many features of the eternal reality of the deity absolute which cannot fully be explained to the time, space, finite mind, but the actualization of God the absolute would be in consequence of the unification of the second experiential trinity, the absolute trinity. Okay, how is that the second experiential trinity? Because I always think of the absolute as the absolute is the highest, right? Because there's the supreme physical, there's oh crap, they're bringing me stuff. I don't know. Supreme, ultimate, and absolute. Okay, but here now we're saying this is the second level, unification of the second experiential trinity. The absolute trinity is, okay, so I don't know. I wish it wouldn't have said that. I don't know. Okay, this would constitute the experiential realization of absolute divinity, the unification of absolute meanings on absolute levels. But we are not certain regarding the accomplishment of all absolute values, since we have at no time been informed that the qualified absolute is the equivalent of the infinite. Okay, now we've heard of unqualified absolute. I haven't heard of qualified absolute. Oh gosh. So this is, okay, super ultimate destinies are involved, super ultimate destinies, so are involved in absolute meanings and infinite spirituality. And without both of these unachieved realities, we cannot establish absolute values. Okay, because values, absolute values, are related to unachieved realities, because we have to use the values to order the priorities of this. So if everything's perfect, then we don't really need to have values, because everything is just cool, whatever. Right. God the Absolute is the realization, attainment goal of all super absonite beings. So these are like high beings, super absonite, so above thought realm, spiritual, high beings. Okay, but the power and personality potential of the deity absolute transcends our concept, and we hesitate to discuss those realities which are so far removed from experiential actualization. So this is like, okay, I'm taking this section as kind of like a big disclaimer of the, for these celestial beings, saying, okay, so we all think this is true, but this stuff is so far out that, please excuse us if we don't know what we're talking about. Okay. So that's kind of hard to take from emissaries from God, right? But I suppose they're entitled to that when they're talking about, okay, so God the Absolute is so far out of range of where you're at. We can't really explain this to you, and we're not actually really sure if we totally understand it ourselves, because it's just that the unification of the absolute Trinity of Father, Son, and Spirit. So that stuff is those guys are unified on this level. And is that really something, but they're always separate, they're always equal, and they've always been there, but how are they going to be back to being just one thing again? Okay, well, this would constitute the experiential realization of absolute divinity. The experiential realization of absolute divinity. Everything is, so it's like back to being just okay, because before God, if there's a time, or we can imagine a time before God created the Son and the Spirit, whatever, everything is just God. Just everything is just God. And that's, so God, this has got to be sleepy time for God, because everything is just one thing. Everything in reality is just smooth. It's all the same thing. Everything is just pudding. It doesn't even have a flavor because nobody's tasting it. It's just one blanket of the same thing. So that's what the realization of this total thing would be like. So it's like when we get done, above everything, and everything trying to work itself out and trying to find the best ideas and the best values, and relate this to our common experience, and we get everything is like wonderful and perfect, and then everything is the same. Then we get to the sameness, and then that's where we need to have something happening again. We get to, right, release from the fetters of the total oneness. Okay, so there's something in that, but this is so far out there. Okay, so this is where we're getting a little bit past my, like, whatever I think I might have a sense of. Okay, and then, but I'm just going to go with it and just keep the faith. All right, and stop, because I don't know what else I can say about it. And just say, hey, that's out there, and it's probably cool. It's probably fine. Here I'm going, it's probably fine. I don't know. Okay. So, yeah. Anyway, okay, don't worry, but there's mysteries out there, and they're beautiful mysteries, and just live a good life. We just kind of go with this. I don't get worried about it. But we're going to get through this forward in like 3 days, right? 2 more days. Yeah, pretty much. No, we'll be all good. Okay, it's all fine. And it's really big. It's just so flippin' huge. How do you even do this stuff, right? Okay, but here we're just little people here on this little planet called Urantia, and everything's fine. But I'm going to stop. Okay. Thank you very much. Have a really good day. Okay. Bye.